Hey guys, welcome back. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I had to take yesterday off. I was a little busy, but here we are. So let's dive right into the Bitcoin price chart. So something very interesting happened earlier today. We can see that we actually did hit a high of a little over $108,000 USD, which was, of course, big news, all-time high. However, we did come back down since then, back into the $105,000 range at the time of this video recording. Um, I really would not be surprised if we continue this downtrend back down to the yellow trend line that I've drawn before. That would put it at around $99,000. Of course, this could happen over a few days. Usually, I've noticed that people prefer to sell on a Thursday or a Friday. So that's, the next 2 days. So it could either be, around $99,500 or a little above that. So we'll see. And of course, if that is the case, then this MACD, where the MACD crossed the signal line, of course, that would have been a fake out, and we might continue to see the MACD towards the downside, correlating with the price. Um, in terms of macroeconomics, no real explanation. There might be some capitulation sometime in January. We'll see. Let's move on to Bitcoin dominance. So this is actually interesting. So the Bitcoin dominance sort of, stayed flat. It may start to come down, correlating with the price. And usually this means that people are starting to sell Bitcoin um, rather than an influx of altcoins. And another way to tell that is, of course, just looking at the other top altcoins. So you can see that Ethereum is starting to come down. Solana is pretty much flat, showing signs of further retracement to the downside. And I really wonder if this is going to be the trend, but leading to the end of the year, because over the weekend I was a little more hopeful that Bitcoin would continue to climb up into the $120,000 range. In any case, any type of retracement back to the yellow trend line is expected. However, if we continue to break down below the yellow trend line, of course, it would not be the greatest ending to 2024, but hopefully that'll um, mean a better new year and a better 2025. Okay. Um, just want to talk about vector space biosciences while we're at it. So, I changed the color to red over here. If you remember from last time, this was the horizontal line, which used to be green, indicating a support line. Now it's really converted to a resistance line. And, the main reason is, for example, this candlestick, it actually opened right below um, the red, now resistance line that I drew before. Ended up closing below it as well. So like I said before, you see a real body that's below um, the horizontal line. And, that gives me confidence that this is now a resistance line. So, our goal all in all is to see if we can, go back above this and close above, um, this horizontal now resistance line, and eventually see something similar to this green candlestick where we're opening and closing above the resistance line, okay? Right now, it looks like we might have further breakdown towards the bottom. Of course, remember this candle that just started for the 24-hour mark can always turn into a green candlestick. So, nobody should really be, of course, this is not financial advice, but this is not an indication for you to, short this coin or, if anything, you could decide to dollar cost average into the project. But even that is risky because, you know, for example, this would have been a better time to dollar cost average. Or if you had seen some sort of candlestick where it was opening above this resistance line and closing above it, that would have been a better time for you to dollar cost average. This one for for all we know could retest back down into the 41 cent support line. Today I just want to go over meme coins as well because they are showing similar trends. So for example, let's start with Turbo. Um, right now sitting at just below a penny. And this is actually quite important because here we did a good job of bouncing back up. Okay. Here we managed to close above the blue trend line. But starting on this, and this is actually showing like a weekly candlestick as opposed to a daily candlestick that was showing on Trading View and the other window earlier. So this is sort of like start of a new week, if you will. And right now, for this weekly candle, we actually opened below the blue trend line, and we're continuing to show this red candle towards the downside. And it's very possible that we could simply close below the blue trend line, which usually isn't a very good sign. um, but the hope is maybe we can actually, maybe there's just a like a local low that we're seeing over here, and by the end of the week we can actually close above the blue trend line. That would be more ideal. As a in regards to Turbo, so today they did make a big announcement. So if you go on their crypto Twitter page, basically, they said, okay, well, now we're working with Aurora, we're working with Near Protocol, and we're doing some more interesting projects that's associated with decentralized finance. I mean, you know, granted, Turbo is a meme coin, but I believe the developers are really working hard to essentially increase the utility of this coin rather than it being purely a meme play, um, which I'm not opposed to. I mean, we talked about, left curve, mid curve, right curve before. I mean, they're trying to right curve more at this point. I mean, they made some updates to their official website. Um, to the people who are interested in real blockchain technology and real utility, of course, this is positive news because, you know, they're obviously trying to do more things with it. Um, but for the people who are on the left curve, I mean, this doesn't really mean a whole lot. I mean, we just want to make sure that there's good culture and a good supportive group behind the meme coin to drive up the price. But I mean, the average retail investor at this stage who are in cryptocurrency, who are attracted by the price movement, are not necessarily going to have a full understanding of what it means to, seamlessly swap assets cross chain or, um, what all these technology exactly mean. So, and I'm not quite sure if the price is going down because people were not impressed by the news from today. Um, this could come from both the sort of what I call like people on the left curve or people on the right curve. It's possible that people on the right curve who understand more about blockchain technology were not so impressed by the announcement. And for the people on the left curve, maybe they're expecting something else. Usually they're heavily driven by, major exchanges listing the token or, some sort of announcement that's more easily interpreted by the mass. And maybe that's not, this announcement was not what they're expecting to hear. And so, the price might be dropping. But like I said before, it's really hard to entirely, you know, interpret um, macroeconomics and these news events in its entirety because, I mean, the price movement could be a product of many things combined. And if you solely try to trade based on the announcement, I mean, you really have to understand the markets, the trends. You really have to understand the relevancy of the announcements and what it means for the future and the viability of the project. So, I admit that's not something I understand. I mean, I definitely do like to read about the announcement, try to figure out what they're about, but they don't really dictate the way I trade. Um, I'm mostly looking at technical analysis, but like I said before, technical analysis is usually a lagging indicator or reflection of real life events and announcements. Um, and so I do believe that, at least this red candle to the downside has something to do with the announcement from today. Um, but for example, I mean, let's look at dog with hat. I mean, then the argument might be, well, did dog with hat make any big announcement? And why is there a red candle? Um, and see, now you can see how it becomes really difficult to explain like everything that's going on the charts. I mean, some of it also might be happening behind doors, information that is not available to the public. For example, if I looked at Popcat, obviously, it's a small percentage drop. Um, and we had a bigger drop yesterday. I mean, that is quite a drop, right? And so now we're seeing coins, three different coins granted under the same meme category that's showing very similar trend towards the downside. I mean, do you think that has anything to do with this, do with the turbo announcement alone? And I would say probably not. So there's probably a bigger factor that is driving these price movements towards the bottom. Um, but here you can also see that this weekly candle opened below the blue trend line and continues to trend downwards. And if I don't see a green candle bouncing to the upside, like let's say next week, after we close um, if you close lower here, let's say, or we close around this price as a red candle, then I'd be a little concerned. But am I going to, for example, sell off some of my coins? And the answer is no. But I'll just make sure that there's nothing else that's going on that's going to drive the price of this meme coin, to zero. So that's where I would have to reconsider my risk management and think about it carefully. So definitely something to look out for. Right now, um, you know, this red candle right here is a red flag for sure. So we do have to pay close attention and just ensure that perhaps at the very least we don't break the $1 mark, because that probably will not be good. For example, I don't care about the shadow, but I'm more concerned about the real body that closes below $1. Okay. Anyways, we'll wrap up here for today, and we'll continue to pay attention to the price movement throughout the week. Let's see if the Bitcoin price jumps back up to 108,000 and above. But for now, it looks like there's a lot of pullback going on across the market. So we'll continue to monitor. All right, thank you. Bye, guys.